resilient Rays have battled through a rash of injuries this season, but still find themselves in the thick of the playoff chase. Tonight, the second half of the season kicks off north of the border as Jake Odorizzi takes the hill looking to tame the high-powered Toronto offensive attack. It's the Rays and the Jays from Rogers Center next.
It is a Friday night in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The Tampa Bay Rays kick off a three-game weekend series against the Toronto Blue Jays, also opening up the first of a six-game road trip coming out of the All-Star break. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Rogers Center in Toronto. I'm Todd Callis alongside Brian Anderson. And, B.A., when you talk about this first game of the series, on one side you have Jake Odorizzi making the second start coming back from the oblique injury. One of the key guys he's going to have to face is the American League All-Star third baseman for Toronto.
Yeah, and starting with Jake Odorizzi, first thing, I love the fact that they have him starting this ball game. It keeps him close to his regular rest as he, returns from injury, continues to build up arm strength and his pitch count. And I got to tell you something, what we saw from him last time, how encouraging. Just 2 rehab starts, but he comes back against the Astros, 5 2/3, very strong innings. It looked like the Jake Odorizzi that we have come to know and expect, and look to hit for him to continue to go out there and pitch as he has all season long, using the whole strike zone. And he's going to have to use the whole strike zone against this guy, Josh Donaldson. Look at the numbers. The average approaching 300. Big power and production numbers. Now, the Rays have been able to keep that down as a staff. No home runs, just 4 driven in. This is a guy who will give you problems because he's patient one at bat and then uber aggressive the next time up. So you've got to make quality pitches against him and stay out of the heart of the plate. Actually, there's a couple guys in this lineup you want to stay out of the heart of the plate because they can hurt you big.
Such a lift for the Rays to have Odorizzi back and healthy, and he'll be going against Drew Hutchison, who pitches very well here at the Rogers Center. His numbers are outstanding at home, not so much on the road. We're getting ready for baseball on a Friday night with Jake Odorizzi on the mound for the Rays. We will have the opening lineups and first pitch right around the corner.
Rays baseball on Sun Sports is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Morgan Auto Group. By Panera Bread. Stop by your local bakery cafe. And by Kona Brewing Company. One life, right? Don't blow it. Mahalo. roof was closed most of the day, but now it's open as the Rays get ready to take on the Toronto Blue Jays to kick off what many call the second half of the season. 71 games to go following the All-Star break, and the Rays and Jays getting ready for the first of three. Here's tonight's Rays lineup presented by your Southern Ford dealers. John Jaso's done a nice job since coming back from the DL. Grady Sizemore bats second. Evan Longoria hitting third. James Loney in the cleanup spot. Logan Forsythe at second base. David DeJesus in left. Jake Elmore gets the start at short tonight. Kevin Kiermaier in center. And Rene Rivera behind the plate.
Taking them out tonight for the Toronto Blue Jays is going to be right-hander Drew Hutchison. And you talk about pitching on the right day. 18 starts so far, an 8-2 record. But look at that ERA of 5.33. Now, Todd, you didn't mention in the open, he's been very, very good at home. That's what the Blue Jays are counting on here tonight. Another strong home start by Hutchison. And let's take a look at the defense as it lines up behind him. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield left to right, we have Chris Colabello, Kevin Pillar, and Jose Bautista. Across the infield third to first, Josh Donaldson, Jose Reyes, Devin Travis, and Justin Smoke, with Russell Martin handling the catching duties.
John Gibbons looking on from the Toronto dugout. His team one game under 500 heading into the All-Star break, despite an offense that not only is the best in the American League, it's the best in baseball by a large margin. Yet here they are, one game under and a game behind the Rays. Starting play to begin the second half. Last pitch of meaning was thrown Sunday afternoon around 4 o'clock by Brad Boxberger, and now we're underway for the post-All-Star break games as John Jaso fouls one off from Drew Hutchison. First pitch brought to you by Pinch-A-Penny.
Well, a lot of first pitch strikes from Drew Hutchison, and expect this Rays lineup to be aggressive because the stuff is not overpowered.
Jaso down in the count, 0-2.
You look at the numbers on Hutchison, and that lefty-righty breakout does much better against left-handed hitters, and that's because he incorporates the changeup against the lefties, really stays away from that pitch from the righties.
Swing and a miss. It took 3 pitches to get John Jaso for the first out.
And there was the changeup. You wonder why he hasn't gone to that pitch against righties, because he's struggled mightily against the right-handed hitters. But you see here with Jaso, a couple of heaters and then changeup right there, minus 6 or 7 miles an hour, and he gets them way out in front.
And nothing too special with the fastball.
No. I mean, 92, it's going to sit in that range. It's firm, not overpowering, and not a ton of movement.
Basically a 3-pitch pitcher with the slider and the change. First pitch to Sizemore is a called strike. Blue Jays staying in the rotation. Coming out of the All-Star break, Hutchison gets the first start post-All-Star game. He also was the opening day starter for Toronto. They knew they wanted to pitch him at some point in this series just based on his home road splits.
Yeah, and even with this start here, it's been 9 days since he's last been out there. So how long you want to go? 9, 10, 11? You might as well. He's been good at home, so get him out here to start the second half. That's quite the breakout right there when you see the home numbers and the road numbers. How can you have a winning record
and an 8.81 ERA? That's hard to do.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because he has some of the best run support you will find in all of baseball. I mean, his run support, where Jake Odorizzi gets nothing, Drew Hutchison gets almost 8 runs a game. Pretty astounding.
These guys are opposite end of the spectrum tonight. Hutchison, Odorizzi with run support from their teams.
And the Blue Jays and the Rays, the respective teams, are at opposite ends of the spectrum. The Jays all offense, very little in the pitching department. The Rays mostly all pitching, and their offense has been quite small this year.
And you could also add defense to that equation. One team has struggled defensively, especially recently, and the other team has made most of the plays. Sizemore into center field. Pillar doesn't have to move very far, and there's 2 away.
Well, here it is. I mean, you got 2 guys that have 10 decisions. How does the guy with the 2.30 end up a 500 pitcher, and Hutchison 80%, 8-2? And look at the run support. That is the name of the game right there. 5 runs of support more per start. Drew Hutchison, astounding numbers.
You do not see ERAs in this day and age 5.33 with winning records very often. Here's a ball in the right field that will send Bautista all the way back to the track, and he makes the play in front of the wall, and the Rays retired 1-2-3 to start this game. Bottom of the first coming up. For the first, here's the Blue Jays lineup. Brought to you by your Southern Ford dealers. Jose Reyes leads things off at short. Josh Donaldson at third. Jose Bautista in right field. Edwin Encarnacion in the DH. Justin Smoke at first. Russell Martin behind the plate. Chris Colabello in left field. Kevin Pillar, the center fielder. Devin Travis at second base.
Now taking the mound tonight for the Tampa Bay Rays, right-hander Jake Odorizzi making his second start since returning from the disabled list, 14th overall. We already saw his numbers. He's fared very well against this Toronto Blue Jay ball club and threw the ball well here in April against them.
And the first pitch by Odorizzi, brought to you by Pinch a Penny, is a fastball outside for ball one. It was so uplifting to see Odorizzi coming back off the DL and make his last start. As important as it was to get back other players from the DL, getting a starting pitcher that is as important as Odorizzi is huge for everything this team's about.
And when you think of the reasons why Odorizzi's important, first and foremost, success. I mean, he's a good pitcher. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to win ball games. But length, you know, that bullpen needs a little bit of a breather. That's going to be big for the Rays here in the second half of the season, or to have guys that can get deeper into games. And, you know, his first 11 starts of the season, he at least finished the 6th inning and pitched into the 7th. Very impressive and very helpful.
There's a 5-pitch walk to Jose Reyes to start this game for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Well, let's set the Rays defense for you here rather quickly. Brought to you by BMW. In the outfield left to right tonight, we're going to have David DeJesus, Kevin Kiermaier, and Grady Sizemore. Across that infield, third to first, Evan Longoria, Jake Elmore, Logan Forsythe, and James Loney with Rene Rivera behind the plate.
Odorizzi now deals with the American League All-Star third baseman Josh Donaldson. Odorizzi did walk 3 Astros in his last start back in 5 2/3 innings.
You know, the one thing that he's done extremely well this year is lead off base runners. And he's only given up one of his own doing. That was a hit by pitch. That was his first leadoff walk of any inning all season long. And that goes a long way towards helping you throw up zeros.
Having trouble finding the zone so far. He has missed with 6 of the first 7. That went away. It's 2-0.
Yeah, you wonder sometimes with the layoff how sharp guys will be, position players and pitchers alike. You know, I know that Jake kept himself ready to go, but very uncharacteristic. He's a guy that's usually spot on with the location.
What a first half it was for the guy Odorizzi is facing here with a runner on first and nobody out. Josh Donaldson with huge numbers going into the All-Star break. And there's a balk. A balk is called on Odorizzi.
And you can see Jeff Nelson, what he's saying is, you know, you come and set and that glove is bouncing. He's never come set with that pause. You got a little one Mississippi, before you deliver to the plate. And watch the glove as he comes down, comes set. I'm just saying that really he didn't stay set long enough.
So an awkward start to this game for Jake Odorizzi, who hadn't allowed a leadoff walk this year, and now he balks for the first time this season, all in the matter of the first 7 pitches of this game.
Well, get it out of the way. Just get it out of the way.
Get your first out of the way.
Go to work.
Settle down. Well, the guy he's dealing with, Donaldson, an all-star season so far. He has done everything for this Toronto Blue Jays team, offensively, defensively. Participated in the home run derby, went to the semifinals in that. And now Donaldson ahead of the count, 3-1.
And Jake Odorizzi knows this better than anybody. These are the kind of counts you cannot have against an offense that is as powerful as this one is. You've got to work from out in front, and even then, it's not that easy.
Let's take a look at some of the numbers Donaldson has put up. Top 5 in all 5 of those big categories.
Well, he's come over here and really made a splash. You talk about fitting in nicely with Bautista and Encarnacion, the 3-headed monster.
A little bit outside, ball 4. Odorizzi has walked the first 2 batters of this game. Rene Rivera started out just to encourage his pitcher. So 2 walks and a balk. And now he faces Jose Bautista.
Well, you've definitely worked yourself into a little bit of trouble here. But you got to remember, listen, you're 1 pitch away. Keep the ball down in the zone. That's something that's not typically Jake Odorizzi's forte. More of a fly ball pitcher than anything else. But you've got an opportunity to try to turn 2. It's 1 good pitch.
Early on, consistently away, missing, and that's 1-0 now to Bautista.
Yeah, he's pulling the ball with his mechanics, his body. He's pulling that cutter off the plate, pulled that curveball a little bit off the plate. Just needs to stay behind it a little bit longer. Much better.
1-1 the count to Bautista. Jose coming in with 60 runs batted in. You can see he's looking for his first career hit against Jake Odorizzi. Has struck out 3 times, has also walked 3 times. But an 0 for 9 against Jake. Those 60 RBIs tied with Josh Donaldson for the team lead heading into the All-Star break. Bautista was selected to go to Cincinnati, but due to an injury to his right shoulder, elected to rest instead of go to the All-Star game. So the Jays were represented with Donaldson and Russell Martin instead. Here's a called strike, and now the count evens at 2.
And now if you're Jake Odorizzi, you have options. You can start to think about the changeup. He can go with the cutter, try to start it in the same exact spot, knowing Bautista looking to protect here is probably going to swing at anything that's close out there down and away. Or he can go with that heater again right on the edge. It's the one thing that Jake Odorizzi is very good at, is not being very predictable with the pitch that he's going to go with, or the location for that matter, and he'll do it in almost any count.
Reyes walked, Donaldson walked. Odorizzi's walked 2 already in this game. 3 is the most he's walked in any start this season. 2-2 to Bautista. And he gets him swinging for the first out of the inning.
How many times have we seen Jose Bautista? He wants to pull everything. So much of his damage is into left field, left center field. And so they stay away, they stay hard, and he cannot get quite around to it. That ball, a little bit of elevation to it. Big strikeout for Jake.
Another big bat right behind Jose Bautista is Edwin Encarnacion. See his numbers on the year with those 18 home runs and 54 runs batted in. And that is a called strike.
And it's interesting here, and we'll obviously see as this game unfolds, but Jake Odorizzi has been very heavy with the fastball and the cutter. And you go through the first, the big boppers in this lineup early with that. That sets your changeup up for later in the game.
Ahead of Encarnacion, 0-2. Odorizzi knows he gave himself quite a task to start this inning with a couple of walks. Now trying to get through Bautista, Encarnacion, and Justin Smoak is on deck. 1 out in the inning. This is an offense with almost 3/4 of a run more than anybody else in baseball.
Astounding. I mean, nobody, like you said, nobody's close to their output.
It's hard to imagine you can have that big of a lead 90, 91 games into a season. But that's where they are. And the Yankees have 409. The Blue Jays have 486.
If you look at this offense and their rankings, you know, they're on base second. Obviously, most runs, get most doubles in Major League Baseball. They're 5th in the American League in stolen bases. The highest batting average with runners in scoring position.
How about that?
In Major League Baseball, with the 2nd most at-bats in the American League. I mean, they just threw out the lineup top to bottom, give themselves chances.
Hit well deep to right center field, but it is playable. Grady Sizemore is there.
He makes the catch. Tagging will be Reyes going from second to third as Encarnacion flies out to right.
Well, 2 big outs by Jake Odorizzi, but that nothing new for the Rays pitching staff. When you look at their numbers against Bautista and Encarnacion this year, you talk about owning 2 of the most prolific home run RBI guys in the game right now. That makes them, after those 2 outs right there, this season against Rays pitching, they are 5 for 58.
Wow.
5 for 58.
Wow.
Now 3 of them have gone for home runs, but just 5 for 58. Now Josh Donaldson with the walk, he's 12 out of 36, 333 average, pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no home runs and just 4 driven in. So they have really, really handcuffed the Blue Jays' big bats, and that's exactly why the Rays have won 7 out of 10 thus far.
Now, after getting Bautista and Encarnacion, he deals with Justin Smoak, and that pitches away. Those 3 guys have done so much damage against the rest of the league, too.
Well, you know what? This is a credit to the Rays' game planning, you know, to Jim Hickey, putting together a game plan on how they're going to go against these hitters. But even more than that is you have the great game plan, but now your pitchers have to execute it, and these guys have done that. They've been excellent with their execution, and you know, it's funny how that works hand in hand, because you're very good with your execution because you trust the game plan, and you know, if I get it there, this is going to work. I don't care what his numbers say, and they prove it time and time again.
On the ground, Loney makes the play on 1 hop, and Jake Odorizzi, after back-to-back walks, works through the inning. We are scoreless at the end of 1, heading to the 2nd. with tonight's Cold Hard Facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. Since becoming the Rays in 2008, just the Cardinals and the Yankees have had more winning seasons at the All-Star break than Tampa Bay. Also the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. 7 out of 8 years, the Tampa Bay Rays have gone into the break with a winning record.
And they needed a strong final weekend to get there.
They really did. Well, it was a terrible stretch going into Houston, 11 out of 12 in the loss column, and then all of a sudden the Astros came into town with all those home run bats, and the Rays pitching shut them down.
Yeah, they did, and they caught the Astros at the right time. They were struggling coming off of losing 3 straight to the Indians, and, you know, listen, you got to credit the Rays. They were on their own tumble and facing a team that has the ability to take you out rather quickly, and they held them to offensively basically nothing.
And possibly they are facing Toronto at the right time. We'll find out as the series progresses, as James Loney takes a pitch for a called strike, 0-2. Toronto really stumbled going into the All-Star break, just 4 of 8 in July, and they've lost 10 out of 14 overall.
Yeah, they've really been struggling. The timely hitting has not quite been there, and the pitching once again. Although that was a tremendous one there by Hutchison. He's trying to climb the ladder there to get the swing and a miss from James Loney, something up in the zone, and James lays off, but a borderline pitch right on the corner, and it goes Hutchison's way.
So second strikeout of the night for Drew Hutchison, and that'll bring up Logan Forsythe. Forsythe probably as happy as any player in the Rays clubhouse for the All-Star break. He has played a lot of baseball, more than he has at any point in his career at the big league level.
And he's holding up well so far. I mean, you've seen no dip. What you look for with Logan Forsythe, with all those at-bats and games played, he's got some of the quickest hands you'll see in the Rays lineup. So you start to see if those things slow down. So far, answer is no. Been very productive, and probably didn't figure to get this opportunity. That's what makes it so special for not only for him, but also for the team and his production.
That hits Forsythe, and he'll go to first base. It hit Logan Forsythe, then it smacked off the mask of the home plate umpire, Jeff Nelson.
Something you see from these Rays hitters, there's a number of them that will not give ground, and they stay right in there, and that's exactly what Logan Forsythe does, and it catches him on the knuckles.
Last time we saw a pitch hit somebody on the hand for a Ray was Steven Souza Jr., and he is going to start his rehab assignment hopefully this weekend with the Charlotte Stone Crabs, but he had that pitch hit him and split open the bottom of his pinky on his right hand.
Oh, that was amazing, because that ball hit the top of his hand flush, holding that bat at 96, 97 miles an hour. Thank goodness it was, it turned out to be, listen, he went to the DL and not a good situation for the Rays, but it could have been a whole lot worse. That is big time heat, and that is right straight off the knuckles. He could have broken 1, 2. Fortunately did not.
He'll be playing against the Tampa Yankees tomorrow, right in his own backyard, in a rehab assignment, and hopefully he'll be ready by the time the Rays go to Philadelphia when he's due off the DL on Tuesday. David DeJesus with a count of 1-1. Rays left fielder 2 for 5 with a home run in his career against tonight's starter for Toronto, Drew Hutchison. And Forsythe almost picked off. Justin Smoke pointing to the dugout saying we may want to take another look at that, as Forsythe was almost caught leaning.
Well, Hutchison going to try to atone for a mistake, and he caught Logan Forsythe flat-footed. He's flat-footed, hands on knees. Tough to get back there. That's a very, very close play, and the Blue Jays are indeed going to take a look at it.
Chris Guccione with the call at first base. Justin Smoke, the first baseman, reacted immediately, and then after John Gibbons heard from the clubhouse, he decided he was going to take a look at it.
A lot of base runners will get off at a safe distance, or what they think is a safe distance, and say, well, I'm not that far off. He's probably going to leave me alone. And they get just a little bit lax in their attention. And Logan had the hands on knees and standing flat-footed. And he felt he was safe because he was so close to the bag.
See him still tapping the back of that hand where he was hit by a pitch. Rays still looking for their first hit. Their first base runner was on a hit batsman. Here's another look.
Diving towards that back outer edge, fingers up. Here comes the. You know, I mean, you could easily say, boy, you think that he got him from that angle.
This angle, you can't really tell where he gets his arm.
Absolutely, depth. And so, you know, the call on the field has gone the Rays' way. That's always a plus.
Yep.
Always a plus. This one leaves some question, but hey, listen, you can always go with stands.
I don't think there's anything definitive to turn it over. I really don't. It's close, and I think realistically he might have been out.
Yeah.
But I don't see any video proof that shows his hand was definitively off the bag when that tag was made.
My faith in the system has been shaken because there have been times
so you're
when
not even predicting
the same
anymore?
Thing. I'm going to say that the call stance. He's going to be. Yeah, he's gonna
you're saying that sheepishly.
I very am because I just don't know anymore.
Let's see. I'm going with stance too.
There you go. There you go. And it has to be, you can't go confirmed on that, I wouldn't think. But regardless, the Rays keep their base run.
So there you go. The Blue Jays now out of challenges as the call stands, and the Rays keep their base runner Logan Forsythe on first.
See, the thing is you only saw 4 fingers.
Right.
Up. Where's the thumb?
There you go.
Where's the thumb?
It's the mysterious thumb.
Maybe on the bag.
That might be in the explanation, BA, and then you'll have more faith in your ability to predict.
Potentially.
A minute 57 on that delay for the challenge. So it's DeJesus with a count of 1-1. And now Hutchison, who went through that stretch trying to keep loose with a couple of throws to home, couldn't get together with Russell Martin on the sign, and time is called. Misses the changeup, the ball in 2 strikes.
I still wonder why that's not a pitch he doesn't incorporate against righties. There's no reason with the depth that he's getting on that here, especially tonight. If it's that good of a pitch for you, use it against everybody. Look at that thing just fade and dive away from DeJesus.
I think their pitching coach, Pete Walker, would like to see the same thing. He says he would like to see more changeups, especially against right-handed hitters. And just for whatever reason hasn't thrown as many overall, and especially to right-handers.
Yeah, when you look at him against right-handed hitters, the numbers jump out at you of the damage that's been done against him. And because he's been fastball slider, neither pitch is a dominant pitch, and the slider this year has taken a step back from what he was featuring last year. So it stands to reason that righties are going to tune you up a little bit.
Pitches away, and now DeJesus has evened the count at 2 apiece. We mentioned the Blue Jays coming in with that 4-10 mark their last 14. You see the splits on Hutchison at 335 is a healthy average for a right-handed hitter against a right-handed pitcher. 6 of the 10 home runs allowed. Blue Jays had a similar fate last year where they really struggled heading into the All-Star break. And there's a pitch away. It's 3-2. Last year they lost 14 out of 21 heading into the All-Star break. John Gibbons' team was 4 games behind Baltimore at the break. This year they're 4.5 games behind the New York Yankees after stumbling going into the break. There goes the runner on the 3-2 pitch. Ball 4 to David DeJesus.
And not even close on that pitch right there with the runner moving after the hit by pitch, and the fastball to DeJesus, one of probably the easiest walks outside of an intentional that he'll take. That ball wasn't close.
So when you look at this Rays team, 4 days to kind of relax and get your thoughts together for the second half, what do you see as some of the keys for the second half?
Well, I think number one, injuries. I mean, uncle on the injuries, and I say that meaning you cannot have a key player miss an extended amount of time anymore. Okay, we're done with that. Complementary pitching. Listen, Kevin Cash is going to use the bullpen. We know that. The bullpen's going to get work. But what I mean by complementary pitching is there are going to be times where the starters are going to have to pick that bullpen up. You think about Archer, Odorizzi, Carnes getting a little bit deeper into games. And also, the offensive fundamentals. 3.65 runs a game is what this team is averaging. So every run matters. You know what that means? Get the bunt down. Move the runner from second to third. Those little things will matter at the end of the season.
Here's a ball in the right field that sends Batista back. He will make the play. Tagging and going to third will be Logan Forsythe. Now 2 outs in the inning as Elmore retired on a fly ball to right.
So I think that if they can, they've managed the injuries thus far. So no more big ones.
Right.
The pitching's got to work in unison, hand in hand. The bullpen gets overworked for a couple of games. You're going to have a starter step up and eat some innings, quality innings. And offensively, you're not going to sit back like this Blue Jay team and pound 3-run homers at will. But you can do the little things. And the little things will add up. And with this pitching staff, it will lead to wins.
It'll be nice to see a 2-out RBI here to get the Rays on the board as Kevin Kiermaier, who has had as much success as anybody in this lineup against Hutchinson. 4 for 7, including a couple of doubles against Drew in his career. First and third, 2 outs of a scoreless game. And that pitch backs him off the plate 1-0. Well, all those things are very easily accomplished for the Rays. It's not like you're asking for the world, and if all those things happen, you're talking about a team that probably will end up playing into the postseason.
I firmly believe that.
And the one thing with the injuries, we have not seen a complete team at any point this season. When Jaso was hurt, then Souza gets hurt, as Jubal Cabrera gets hurt. You haven't seen the complete team at any point.
No, you're starting to wonder if they like it like that. Hey, listen, we're resilient, we're feisty, and we're just going to make it happen however we have to. But it would be nice to see that opening day lineup, no doubt.
Bat shatters. Kiermaier throws the rest of the bat away, and there's a ground ball back to the pitcher for the final out of the inning. So the Rays leave a couple aboard. We head to the bottom of the second, scoreless. Here's our Yellowwood bringing the lumber as the Toronto Blue Jays certainly qualify for that.
Well, listen, this team's so very powerful. You talk about Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion, but they've got a number of other hitters. Kevin Pillar's been swinging the bat great the last month and a half. A lot of guys chipping in, and it makes for one of those ball games where as a starting pitcher you get deep into the game, you feel good about the job that you've done, and you're mentally exhausted when this thing's over.
Last time Jake Odorizzi faced this Toronto Blue Jays team was earlier in the season, back on April 13th in this building, and he went 8 strong innings, only allowed a couple of hits and a run as Martin grounds one into the shift. Jake Elmore to his left makes his first play of the night, and A nice pick at first by James Loney.
Yeah, that's another key for the Rays. You know, as Drupal Cabrera being out it's going to be an extended period of time getting that hamstring back. Hopefully not too extended, but you're going to get a combination of Jake Elmore and Tim Beckham out there at shortstop. Now, the defense for the Rays, in fact, you go all the way around from Longoria to Cabrera to Logan Forsythe. They've made as many errors combined as Jose Reyes with decreased range has made by himself.
Wow.
That's how good this infield has been, made even better by the first baseman. So that's going to be an important position to kind of hold over. You know, Elmore and Beckham have to do a nice job out there, and you know, Kevin Cash and everybody around here believes that they will.
Here's Chris Colabello taking a called strike, 0-1. When you look at some of the Rays' surprises in the first half, to me, one of the biggest surprises has been the defensive play of Asdrubal Cabrera, a guy who last year went to Washington, moved to second base, had to win the shortstop job in spring training, and has not only made every play. If you look at the defensive metrics, he's near the top of almost all shortstops in baseball this year.
Yeah, and that's what we heard, right? His range, that's why he ended up at second base.
Right.
You know, but yeah, you've seen no deficiency, and you've seen some of the softest hands in all of baseball making plays. He's been absolutely fantastic for the Rays, and I think where he started to foreshadow his season defensively, it was in spring training, because that was a job that was up for grabs, and he took control of it early. I mean, he left no doubt, and you know, no reason to think the Rays made a bad decision there at all.
He left no doubt, and he also kind of stated, I don't want to switch around. I want a position, and you know he wanted shortstop.
Yes. Listen, second base in the big leagues, that's fun too, but if you're a shortstop, you want to stay at shortstop. Anything other than that, you start to think demotion.
Cabrera went on the DL right before the All-Star break. Hopefully it won't be too long after the break until we see him with that hamstring injury, as it counts 2-2 on Chris Colabello, and now it counts full. Odorizzi's pitch count is at 31 right now after a couple of walks in the first inning. Count stays full. Colabello has come up and made a major impact on a lineup already filled with sluggers.
Well, you remember the start that he got off to. It was last year with the Minnesota Twins in April. He was the player of the world.
Yes.
You couldn't stop it.
I didn't know they had player of the world vote.
Well, they did after his April last year. It's a new award.
Well, he's done the same thing, making a big impact on Toronto's lineup as he takes a pitch inside for ball four. Third walk issued by Odorizzi with just one out here in the second. Hey, Rays fans, every Friday will be Flashback Rays Day, brought to you by Ram. Here's what you do. You submit your best vintage photo of yourself by using the hashtag FlashbackRays. We'll select the best photo and we'll feature it in tonight's postgame show, live and direct from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We have the whole crew up here.
Well, listen, it was a full flight. I wasn't on it, but it was a full flight. The whole gang's here, and we're up here to do some damage.
We are. Sometimes LeBron travels differently, but the rest of the crew was up on that flight, and it was packed, and we had a good time, and everybody's ready to go here for the second half of the season. Out of courtesy to you, nobody sat in your row, by the way.
Did they?
No,
I wanted to ask you earlier.
We had a bigger plane.
Who took my row?
It was almost ceremonial. It's like this BA's row, don't mess with it. As Kevin Pillar takes a strike, 0-1.
In a very twisted, egomaniacal way, I feel really good about that. Really good about that. I appreciate you looking out because you sit in front of me, and I guarantee you that you had something to do with that.
Line drive to left to Jesus with a break in for the catch, 2 away. There's another guy. Talk about surprises in the first half. His defense in the first half.
Listen, the Rays decimated by injury. You know, in fact, I said it'd be nice to see that opening day lineup out there again. Well, it still's not the opening day lineup. Loney was hurt. I mean, all these guys were hurt, you know, early in the season. And for the Rays to be in the position they're in now, they needed guys to step up. You think about Forsythe playing every day, what he's done. DeJesus out in left field, the power that Souza Jr. has provided on the pitching side. You think Carnes, Ramirez. I mean, different guys in different spots have allowed the Rays to withstand those injuries and remain in the race.
Called strike to Devin Travis, 0-1. Well, last year DeJesus was basically a DH because he couldn't throw in the second half. He had the shoulder situation. And now going into spring training, they didn't think they had a spot for him. Lo and behold, Desmond Jennings gets hurt, and DeJesus playing left field as well as he has the last 5-6 years. Ball in the dirt, and it's 1-1 to Travis.
The one thing you have to remember about the Rays defensively is they're positioned very well.
Yes.
You know, this is a team certainly full of athletes, but when you take athletes and you put them in the correct positions, wow, that's when you see it locked down. And David DeJesus has been fantastic in left.
Swing and a miss. It's 1-2. As a pitcher, there's a learning curve, and most of these guys are young enough. It's not like the James Shields days or the David Price days when there was still a learning curve about, wow, we're shifting a lot. Now I think everybody that comes into the system kind of buys into the system because they've seen the success.
Well, yeah, and that's all they know.
Right.
You know, a guy like James Shields, you know, he's pitched when baseball was played somewhat normally,
right,
which it isn't anymore, at least normal from what we were used to. And so when these guys are moving around, especially when you give up a hit that dribbles through that open area and you're like, are you kidding me? He's supposed to be right there. It's tougher to sell it to those guys, but to guys that don't know any better, this is just the way the game's being played. And guess what? Over time, that stuff proves itself to be true.
Absolutely. I mean, the Rays pitching numbers stand out over the years. As Joe Madden used to like to say, they catch line drives. They're positioned where they should be. Odorizzi with a count of 2-2 and a runner on first. A soft grounder towards short. Elmore charges, throws on the run in time to get Devin Travis, and that'll do it for the Blue Jays. So a walk is stranded as we head to the third. It's 0-0. Let's break down the Toyota trend, and that is the Rays-Jays season series.
Well, listen, they've just flat out outplayed them. Runs a game, the average. Look at what they've done with the Blue Jays lineup. A lot of that has to do with the way they've corralled the big three. And then, you know, Rays have pitched well. The Blue Jays haven't. That's been the story of the Blue Jays season, except here against the Rays, they haven't scored.
Runs per game doesn't look terrible if you're struggling offense, but 3.5 for the Blue Jays is almost 2 full runs per game less than their season average. As Rene Rivera leads off for the Rays in a count of 1-1. Rivera was getting hot going into the All-Star break, and he's hoping to carry that over here in the second half. Done over the last 13 RBIs during that stretch.
Yeah, he's been productive. They've been big hits. They haven't been quiet. That was absolutely outstanding work there by Hutchison. working around the strike zone. He goes down in the zone, strike 2, and then immediately elevates the heater. We're seeing more and more and more of this. You just can't lay off.
He's an interesting pitcher. A kid out of Lakeland, Florida, Lakeland High School, and opening day starter, youngest for the Blue Jays in their history, as John Jaso fouls went off. So you know they have a lot of confidence in this guy with an R.A. Dickey on your staff and a Mark Burley on your staff to go to this guy opening day. And he has put it together. In certain starts, he looks like he can beat the world, but he just has not put together consistent starts during the year.
No, and that's what you want more than anything out of your starting pitchers at the big league level is consistency. You're not going to win every game, but you kind of want to know what you're going to get. And it's been so up and down with Hutchison that you're fooled by the record. But with all that run support, how about this? In his last 6 starts, and I don't even, you wrap your mind around this, and I hate to fire out numbers all the time, but this is interesting.
You're setting it up for a big finish.
6 starts, his last 6 starts, he's 3-1, and he's averaged less than 5 innings to start. His last 6 starts have covered 28 innings, and he's got 3 wins and 1 loss. He's averaging 4.5 innings to start. I mean, how do you do that?
It's hard to compute. That means you're barely going the minimum as Jaso grabs one into the shift. Waiting back on it is Travis, and he throws out Jaso for the second half.
And the ERA in that span is well over 6. It's remarkable. He has pitched the right days to go. But I think it goes back to what we talked about earlier, and what you were talking about with Pete Walker, the pitching coach, the changeup to the right-handed hitter. That's got to start making an appearance.
7.8 runs of support per start when he's in the game. Not even per 9 innings. When he's in the game, they're scoring 7.8 runs per start. It's astounding. Grady Sizemore takes one low and inside. Sizemore lined out to the center fielder his first time up.
Who said I'd rather be lucky than good?
Yeah. Odorizzi would take half of those numbers and be thrilled.
10-0.
10-0 right now.
Probably would be.
Would have been an all-star even being on the DL. That's the other thing. You know, Odorizzi saw Chris Archer, and congratulations to Chris. We're going to hear from him in the top half of the 4th inning for making the All-Star game and pitching in that All-Star game over an inning. Here's a ball hammered to right field, and it's hooking. Foul, just foul off the bat of Grady Sizemore. But Odorizzi's numbers were pretty much in par with Archer before he got hurt. And his wins-losses weren't there, but all the other peripheral numbers were right there, other than strikeouts.
The thing I like about what Jake has done with his numbers is he's learned to be a more efficient pitcher. You know, his strikeout numbers are down, his walk numbers are way down, and his pitches per inning way down. You know, and that's what has allowed him to get deeper into ball games. And that was one of the goals and keys that he had in mind when the season started.
It's almost like he went into the offseason and decided, I almost have to reinvent myself a little bit. You know, adding the cutter, adding the, throwing the 2-seamer, here's a ball hammered to center field. Back goes Pilar all the way looking up, and this ball's gone. Grady Sizemore with the first hit of this game gives the Rays a 1-0 lead. That's a way to break out of an 0-for-20 slump.
A home run, give your team the lead. Well, he had a good swing earlier in that bat on that ball he hammered down the right field line. This one, he just waits a little bit longer, lets that ball get into the zone, a little closer to him, and then unleashes on it. And see you later.
That was hit really well to a deep part of this field. As you can see, the fan make the catch there over the wall. Called strike to Evan Longoria. Now it's 1-1. Grady Sizemore. You mentioned that start he got off to. 9-for-22. Just played those 6 minor league games for the Charlotte Stone Crabs up with the Rays. Boom, 3-hit game, 9-for-22. Struggled since, but comes out of the All-Star break in a second AB with a long, loud home run.
And you're going to get ebbs and flows during the course of the season. And Grady certainly set the bar high for the Rays when he joined them. But he's a guy, another veteran guy who knows how to work an at bat. When he was healthy and in his prime, and he's healthy now, but when he was before the injuries started to mount, I'll tell you what, you talk about a double threat guy, had power, could run, play great defense in center field. So he's got an idea.
Longoria fouls off that 2-strike pitch. It stays 1-2. Well, one of the benefits to being with the Rays is the comfort zone he has with the Rays hitting coach Derek Shelton. They spent 5 years together in Cleveland. So as Derek said, all the terminology is the same. He gets, as soon as he arrived, he gets exactly what I'm trying to tell him, and vice versa. Grady with a big home run here to give the Rays the lead. Longoria fouls it back. It stays 1-2. Popped in the air. This will be playable. Russell Martin is there for the final out of the inning. But the Rays get on the board first tonight with Grady Sizemore's second home run as a Ray. And Tampa Bay leads Toronto 1-0. % on car insurance. By Circle K, just 69 cents for your favorite size Polar Pop all summer long. And by Checkers, mix and match our famous Big Buford and Big Chicken Deluxe. Jake Odorizzi underway here in the bottom of the third. Throws a strike to the inside corner against Jose Reyes, 0-1. Working to the lineup for the second time this evening, Odorizzi with 40 pitches through the first 2 innings. And now that pitch misses away, 1-1. Jake regularly, prior to the injury, was allowed to go as deep as anybody in the rotation, including Chris Archer, up to 110 pitches in one start. Still kind of working back to that, through 89 in his last start against the Astros, and probably close to being fully stretched out, but maybe the next start we'll see the full complement if they want to go 105 or 110.
And that is why I thought it was great that they started him first game out of the break. Keep him close to his regular rotation, his regular routine, as he continues to build up that arm strength. And you're right. You don't want to overdo it early. You only had 2 rehab starts and missed 5 weeks.
Odorizzi, after struggling with his control early in the game, has found the zone more consistently as Reyes rounds one to the right side. Logan Forsythe makes the play for the first out in the bottom of the third. Let's check in with Emily Austin for the first time. Hi, Em.
Hi, Todd. Josh Donaldson is without a doubt an all-star, but how in the world did he break the record with 14.1 or some 14.1 million all-star votes? Well, he had a couple celebrities on his side, including Stephen Amell, who's best known for his role in Arrow. He's a Canadian-born actor, and he went to social media when he decided, hey, Josh isn't really in the standings where I think he should be. So he asked for some advice and some support from the country. and I guess he got it. And it seemed, I was talking with Donaldson before the game, he said it was completely unexpected for the whole country to have his back, especially because this is his first year with Toronto.
Yeah, how about that? All the Kansas City Royals who were leading in votes at their respective positions, and Josh Donaldson ends up getting more votes than anybody in the American League, and now Odorizzi has fallen behind him 3-0.
Well, tremendous year. The numbers are big, but you're in Canada. They vote up here too, and you get Don Cherry behind you. Ball game. Ball game.
Donaldson started to take off his batting glove, and he dropped the bat, and he was called back to the plate by Jeff Nelson.
Yeah, one of those embarrassing moments. Don't assume. Do not assume.
He's taking that elbow guard off, but it's 3-1. Now he can take the elbow guard off. Has 4 walks issued by Odorizzi. That is a season high, and we're only in the 3rd inning.
Well, the cutter has been a big pitch for Jake early in this game. The cutter and the 4-seam fastball, and the release point of the cutter has not been quite where we normally see it. A number of those to the right-handed hitters away. He's trying to put right on the corner, and he's just taking them right off the plate.
Now he deals with Jose Bautista. He struck Bautista out his first time up. Only strikeout so far for Odorizzi. Starts him off with a strike on the inside corner, 0-1. On the ground to short. Elmore, Forsythe, 1-turn double play. The Rays get out of the 3rd with a double play started by Jake Elmore and turned by Logan Forsythe. When we come back, we'll hear from the Rays All-Star pitcher, Chris Archer. Run by Grady Sizemore. Rays lead 1-0. Time to chat with Rays All-Star pitcher Chris Archer from the Tampa Bay Rays dugout, or just right outside, as Archer's taking a seat there right on the edge of the dugout. First of all, Chris, congratulations on being named an All-Star. Every time I saw a picture of you or a video involving you from the All-Star break in Cincinnati, it looked like you were having the time of your life.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys. But yeah, it was fantastic. I've never experienced anything like that. I mean, just being surrounded by so much greatness and the humility and the respect that everybody has for each other, you know, it encouraged me to continue to work hard and get on the same level as those guys who have been multiple times, and how to act, how to treat people.
So, Chris, what was the you hear these stories all the time about the day before the game, the actual Monday when you get in, the autographs, the things that you have to do. What is that day like? Just a complete blur?
Yeah, it actually starts Sunday night. They encourage you that if you're going to do anything, that's the night to kind of go out and have fun and let your hair down a bit, because Monday they want you to be more well-rested for the game Tuesday. But so Sunday night you get in, you go to a little party that Major League Baseball put together. Snoop Dogg and Macklemore performed. So that was really fun. And I got to meet some really cool people. I got to meet Eric Davis and Barry Larkin, who I watched play quite a bit towards the end of their career. So that was awesome. And then the next day, you get started about noon with different media, different autograph sessions, and you barely even have time to go out and play catch before the home run derby. Your time is asked for so much.
James Loney grounds out to short to start the inning. Now Logan Forsythe, the batter, with one out and nobody on. Perce Archer joins us from just outside the Rays dugout. You mentioned going to that concert. I think that's the only thing David Price did not do.
Yeah, he didn't.
But you guys had a good time catching up?
Yeah, I was basically his sidekick the entire time, just because I miss him. And we played catch a few times, and I got to watch him warm up before the game. Things that, the small things that you don't realize that you actually miss. Throwing a baseball with someone. BA, I know you can relate. I know you had a throwing partner that you really like throwing with, and kind of showing off, like, hey, look how how much better I've gotten. I can throw it. Put your glove there. I can hit that. Here's that slider that jammed your thumb last year. Just some small things, but again, to see the way he treats people is a reminder. No matter how many times you go, I mean, he's been in the league for 6 years, 7 years, and he's been 5 times. No matter how many times you go, you still have to treat people the right way, and he's still the same guy, and it was really nice to be around him.
It's nice to hear. You know what it's nice to hear? It's nice to hear that guys are still going after other guys' thumbs playing catch. If you thumb a guy, that's it. You tip of the hat, you take it in. That's outstanding. Hey, listen, speaking about throwing, let's get to the game now. You're obviously starting pitcher. Now, do you know going in when they're going to use you, or around when they're going to use you, a guy that was in your position?
Yeah, Ned Yost and Dave Island did a great job letting me know, the night before when I was going to be pitching, and just be prepared and do whatever it takes. And it is a little different for me. I like to stretch it out when I'm playing catch. But it really didn't affect me that much. Well, inning over, guys. Got to go. See ya. We'll talk later.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for the time. Chris Archer joining us after the David DeJesus double play ends the inning. And we head to the bottom half of the fourth. Still 1-0 Rays. The Geico great moment in history. On this date in 1941, Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak ends in Cleveland's Municipal Stadium. 67,000 fans were on hand. The Yankee Clipper batted .408 during that streak. Then began another streak lasting 17 games after that one ended. Remarkable span, hitting safely in 73 of 74 games.
I mean, how bootleg is Cleveland? You know, they don't ever win the big one. They stopped DiMaggio's streak. Could have had 74 straight. Yeah. I mean, 56. Impressive enough. But 74?
High pop-up. If this was in Tropicana Field, it might hit one of the catwalks. Instead, Rene Rivera plays it, and he drops it. Rivera dropped one at home, and he drops one here. This one was a high pop-up, but that's got to be an out.
You know what? It absolutely does. And what he is saying right now, Kevin Cash, as he comes out of the dugout, was it was on the transfer, but it was too quick. It was too quick. The catch, he's making the quick transfer, drop into the glove, and it squirts right out. This is the same thing that happened at Tropicana Field. And both times, you know, listen, if he holds on to it a split second longer, but as quickly as that happened, that's what they're going to call.
That was a big out in the game against Cleveland at home at Tropicana Field. And here's the thing. If there's runners on, I can understand a quick transfer. There's nobody on. You really don't need a quick transfer right there.
No, yeah, that's a guy being quick with his hands. He's trying to, you know, catch it and fire that thing around the infield. You know,
just one of those things.
Yeah.
Cash is not going to review this, and as we learned the other night, it's not even a play you can review.
I was going to say, yeah, you get the judgment of the umpire on a play like that, and that's the way it's going.
Well, this is not a guy you want to give a second chance to, and he fouls one off. It's 1-2. They have posted an error on Rene Rivera. So far in this game, Jake Odorizzi has allowed 4 walks. He has balked. The Rays have committed an error, and now a ground ball to Evan Longoria as Longoria throws out Edwin Encarnacion, and Encarnacion now over his last 9 against Jake Odorizzi. It's the first out of the inning. The Rays are very pleased to announce a special program for our military. Now through the end of the season, active duty and retired or honorably discharged veterans can get a Rays Honor Pass that entitles them to 2 free tickets to any Rays regular season home game. To get more information, visit RaysBaseball.com/Honor Pass for more info. That is a great program that the Rays are starting. We'll bring you more info on that in tomorrow's telecast as Justin Smokes takes a pitch on the inside corner for a called strike, 0-1. Smoke grounded to James Loney his first time up. Odorizzi ahead of the count, 0-2.
Justin Smoke, a very good fastball hitter. That's what he prefers. And you can see that in the way Jake Odorizzi has gone after him. He's received the lion's share of the changeup so far from Jake.
Last year, Odorizzi used to get a lot more fly ball outs. This year, the ground ball rate is a lot higher, and 7 of the last outs have been made via the ground ball. There's a ball ripped in the right field. That's a base hit over the ship. Sizemore will play it off the fence. Smoke digging for 2, and he will get there sliding.
Here's the pitch. Jake goes back to the changeup, and that was the worst of the bunch. That stayed thigh high, middle of the plate, gave Smoke a chance, and he took full advantage. You know, you go back to what you're talking about with Jake Odorizzi. You know, a lot of that has to do, obviously, with the changeup, him cutting down on the strikeouts, pitching more to contact with balls that are, you know, moving, change of speed down towards the ground, but also the cutter. Yeah. The cutter away from a righty will lead to balls off the end of the bat. A lot of weak ground balls into the lefty, jams them. By no means are you ever going to confuse him with a ground ball, sinker ball type guy, but he has gotten better, no question.
Martin tried to hold up, but he didn't. Strike 1. Russell Martin, the batter, grounded out to short his first time up. And the strikeouts last year for Jake Odorizzi, more than 1 an inning, 174 in 168 innings. This year, coming in 82 1/3 innings with 68 strikeouts. pitching deeper into games, as BA mentioned, getting that earlier contact in counts. Ball's fouled away. It's 1-2. Last year's 18 pitches a game, an inning rather, 18 pitches an inning. He would go five and change on a number of occasions. This year, every single start that has not been injury related has been at least 6 innings. He's averaging 15.2 pitches, almost 3 less an inning.
But that adds up. Doesn't seem like much, but every inning, go 5 innings. That's an extra innings worth of pitches. And that's exactly what he's given this team. I mean, he's gone from averaging around 5 1/3 to pitching into the 7th, the first 11 starts. And, you know, once he gets his pitch count back up to his normal range, he'll start that streak again.
Too bad we had a short outing to discuss things with Chris Archer. Because you wanted to ask Archer something else. I wanted to ask Archer about having Odorizzi back. But Chris obviously had a great time at the All-Star break. It showed. And today he... Go ahead.
No.
Today he did something that he did in Cleveland going into the All-Star break. He visited the local RBI program here in Toronto, and that is a big part of his platform that he says is now hopefully a bigger platform now that he has become an All-Star.
You know, and that's the thing that's so impressive.
Line drive into center field for a base hit. They're going to hold the runner Smoke with Kiermaier in center.
And did you see the throw? Notice the throw by Kiermaier. You know, there's been a couple of times this year where in his exuberance, he's airmailed cutoff men. And that's been something that eats at him. You know, he's an explosive player. He's a very aggressive player, and that has gotten the best of him from time to time. But right here, he keeps this throw low, so there's a play at the plate if need be, but no one is going to advance to second base. You know, he's got a very good arm, and if he wants to let it go all the way to home plate, he can do that. That ball was kept low on purpose.
Nobody with better defensive numbers at the All-Star break than Kevin Kiermaier for the Rays in center field. If you go by the metrics, he has the best WAR numbers of anybody defensively in baseball. And the Blue Jays with Justin Smoke running will not challenge here. It's first and third with 1 out. Chris Colabello walked his last time up. Colabello does have a home run against Jake Odorizzi, 1 for 2 with a home run. Pitch away, 1-0. So Odorizzi, who would walk 4 coming into this inning, had not allowed a hit until the second batter of this inning, and then he gets up a double and a single, 2 very hard hit line drives off the bats of Justin Smoke and Russell Martin. In the air, center field, Kiermaier back. He'll have a play on the track or right in front of the track. Run will score easily, and it's now tied at 1. Colabello with RBI number 33 since joining Toronto.
That ball was hit hard by Colabello, just too high. He got it out deep to center. No question that the run was going to score. The only question was Russell Martin going to be able to move up to second base because of how deep this ball was hit and get himself into scoring position, but the arm of Kevin Kiermaier keeps him right there at first base.
So Odorizzi now will deal with Kevin Pillar, the center fielder. Pillar has had a nice first half for this Blue Jays lineup. They're really, you go up and down 1 through 9. There are no breathers. You got Pillar 278. You've got Devin Travis 302. The guy right in front of Pillar has 33 RBIs and didn't even join the team until a few weeks into the season. Got called up May 5th at Chris Colabello.
Well, that's why, you know, I say this is a lineup that, you know, you're going to be physically taxed because you're going to have to make good pitches, big pitches, at times high leverage pitches, but it's mentally exhausting because you know that each guy is capable of taking you out of the arc. and doing a lot of damage. So you really mentally have to lock in on every single pitch.
Pitch away, it's 1-2. Odorizzi allowed 2 hits and a run in his first start here in Toronto. That was over 8 innings in a 2-1 win against R.A. Dickey and the Blue Jays. Tonight he's allowed 2 hits and a run, and we're tied at 1 here in the 4th. Foul into the stands on 1 hop. The Rays electing to go to Jake Odorizzi first. They'll go to Erasmo Ramirez tomorrow, an afternoon game here in Toronto. And then the gentleman we spoke to last half inning, Chris Archer, will pitch the series finale here on Sunday. Popped in the air, shallow right field. Tough play, but Forsythe is there to make it for the final out. So, 1 run scores to tie the game. We head to the 5th, 1-1. Looking on, tomorrow's starters are presented by Chevron. Erasmo Ramirez will make the start for the Rays. What a season he has had after 2 rough starts, including one here in Toronto to start his season. And the knuckleballer, R.A. Dickey, gets the ball for the Blue Jays. And here's the Rays rotation coming out of the break.
Well, quality up and down. I mean, Jake Odorizzi, love what they did with him. Get Erasmo out there. Chris Archer, give him that little bit of time after pitching in the All-Star game. And then Matt Moore, you continue to work on building his arm strength and building up his command. You'll see success when that happens. And Nathan Carnes, what about him? What about what he's done? Between Ramirez and Carnes, what they've given this starting rotation that continues to be one of the tops in all of baseball.
Cash said he really wanted to give Carnes an extra breather just based on the number of innings, the high leverage innings he gave them in that first half.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, they could not have set up that second half rotation better than they have as far as where to slot guys because of Archer in the All-Star game. You know, get Jake back there close to his normal rest as he comes back from injury. Erasmo, Nathan Carnes. Listen, this was a guy you didn't know what you were going to get from him coming out of the season or if he was even going to make the team. He ends up starting game 2, and he's gotten better and better. And so, like you said, Kevin Cash said, really, you give him that extra time.
Elmore with a ground ball to the shortstop for the first out. Here's Kevin Kiermaier. Rays still own just the 1 hit, but it was a 400-foot plus hit off the bat of Grady Sizemore to give Tampa Bay its only run. 1 hit for the Rays, 2 hits for the Jays. Kevin Kiermaier, soft grounder. Tough play for Reyes. Forget about it. Infield hit for Kiermaier.
You know, I'll tell you, he is fun to watch, and the way that he is being defensed, if this ball gets by Josh Donaldson, it's a hit, and he just slaps it. Donaldson is playing in and over from third base, but he's able to squeeze it by him, and once you force Reyes to make that play, there is no chance. You just eat it, don't even make a throw. The speed.
So Kiermaier, 1-out base runner. Rene Rivera at the plate. Kevin with 9 steals in 10 attempts this year. 1 off the team lead. Held by Steven Souza Jr., currently on the disabled list.
And there have been a lot of attempts against Hutchison, 15, 12 successful. And he's a guy that's gotten more and more comfortable with the stolen base as the season's gone on.
They didn't have any in the first month. Then a couple in May and June. Had another half dozen and then 1 more in July. So he has picked up the pace as the season's gone along.
Yeah, and that's all the more reason why you want to see him increase that on-base percentage, take a walk here or there. His legs are such a weapon. Whether it's the threat of the stolen base, taking the extra base, running down balls in the outfield.
It's interesting when you play at a stadium like this where you have the dirt cutoffs, because you can absolutely precisely see where your lead is, and Kevin gets right to the edge of that dirt there. Some guys will even extend that a little bit, but grounded fouls, 0-2.
Well, and then you start to wonder, you know, the guys with their plant leg, their push-off leg on the dirt, the other foot on the turf. You know, are you comfortable with that? But you certainly can measure your lead. We talk about the cutout at Tropicana Field all the time where you can really measure a big lead. But he keeps that lead foot right in the dirt. That's also a dead giveaway, too, to the pitcher. If you're leading off every time like that, and then all of a sudden you extend it and that foot goes onto the grass, guess what? I know what you're doing.
Popped in the air, shallow right. Out goes the second baseman Travis, and Smoke gets called off at the last second. And that ball almost popped out of Travis's glove, but he holds on for the second out.
Well, there was traffic over there. Justin Smoke is calling for it. Travis has the better angle. He's going to go over the taller man as he comes out, and that is a snow cone, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of which, had a few of those over the break. Sorry about it.
I didn't know where you're going with that.
Well, everybody loves snow cone.
I do too.
Snow cone whether you win or lose.
2 outs, runner on first base. John Jaso the batter. Kevin Kiermaier at first. Tie game 1 apiece. Snow cone, what flavor?
It's got to be cherry or orange or grape.
You mix
and
them
I'll
or just single?
Don't do the single.
Okay.
Single, yeah. I'm not that
like
adventurous.
That rainbow snow cone. Yeah.
No.
Too many flavors.
Yeah, it's like Neapolitan ice cream. Just get there's 3 different. Just get 3 separate containers. Goodness sakes.
Mr. Jaso's a little bit low, 1-0.
Then they bleed together.
And there's always one that's a little more than on a snow cone. Neapolitans are divvied up pretty evenly, but on a snow cone, there's always one that dominates.
Yeah.
And it ends up being like this purpley black color at the end of the day.
That you have from ear to ear.
Runner on the move. Line drive, base hit center field. Kiermaier will turn and head to third. Pilar hustles the ball back in quickly. And the Rays have runners on the corners with 2 outs as John Jaso delivers the 3rd hit of the night for Tampa Bay.
Well, getting aggressive here on the base pass. Kevin Kiermaier finally goes, and John Jaso rifles one right back up the middle. They have him defensed up the middle, but he whistles that ball up and over Reyes. Not going to slow this man down.
Big smile for John Jaso. Played a little bit of outfield right before the All-Star break. 1 game in left field in Kansas City, but he kind of likes that DH role.
Do you have a timeline on what he's going to do with the lid, the head of hair?
Line drive into left field, but it's going to hang up as Chris Colabello makes the play for the final out of the inning. More on the chase, so Dreadlocks later on. It's 1-1, bottom of the fifth. West leading Dodgers take on the NL East leading Nationals at 4 o'clock. Then at 7 o'clock, the Indians battle the Reds, the Battle of Ohio, only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Bottom of the fifth starts with Devin Travis at the plate against Jake Odorizzi. Odorizzi misses with the first one. It's 1-0. Jake up to 75 pitches. Last start he went 89, probably right around the century mark is where you would think his cap would be tonight. Although the Rays don't like to announce that ahead of time. There's a called strike, 1-1. Travis, and then back to the top of the order for Jose Reyes and Josh Donaldson in this 1-1 game. We showed you the rotation coming out of the break in the last half inning. I like the fact that Odorizzi and Archer are separated in this rotation because those are the two guys that really have the longest leash of all the starters.
Yeah, and you're exactly right, and that's another great point.
Into center field, Travis has a base hit. It's now 3 hits in the last 5 batters. All 3 hits allowed tonight by Odorizzi.
You know, that factors into what we were talking about with complementary pitching. You know, you want those days where you got a guy that you can trust to get you a little bit deeper, tax the bullpen a little bit less. You can be a little freer with the bullpen maybe the next night and go for, you know, but you need guys to be able to step up when need be to help each other out. Chris Archer's having it out with somebody.
Deanna Navarro, I believe, who's always a happy-go-lucky guy in the other dugout, the former Ray. Here's Jose Reyes, runner on first and nobody out. Reyes has walked and grounded out.
Or maybe he was saying, no, I'm not happy that Jake Odorizzi and I are split up in the rotation. Not really sure.
Bunt attempt. Longoria, bare hand, throw in time. Not many do it better than the Rays' third baseman on that play.
Nope, and no margin for error whatsoever. Reyes getting up that line, but Evan Longoria with a great read on the bunt and even better play. And that's one of those situations too where Jose Reyes is thinking, okay, sacrifice or a hit. He bunts for a hit. Worst case going to be a sacrifice. And boy, less than half a step is what they get him by.
This is a great field turf, AstroTurf, for bunting because everything really slows down and deadens on this infield. It's a lot slower than the Rays infield at Tropicana Field.
And that's one thing that you have to know and understand when you come to play here. That's why guys are out early, rolling balls up the third base line. Does the ball stay up the line? Does it curve foul? How fast does it go so they can get a lay of the land before it counts?
Sacrifice bunt by Reyes moves Travis to second base, and now Josh Donaldson the batter. Donaldson has walked twice. Odorizzi has allowed a season high 4 walks tonight, and now 3 hits allowed. We're playing here in the 5th. In the dirt, 2-0. Saw the home run derby?
I did actually. Yeah, watched it with the fam.
Donaldson had a great run.
Yes, he did.
He didn't run into Todd Frazier, who was beating everybody that day.
Yeah, I mean, what Todd Frazier was able to do in Cincinnati, the format, I thought, you talk about a home run, the format was a bomb. I mean, as far as a home run goes, it was outstanding. I love the fact that it was timed. It just added excitement. How many buzzer beaters?
Yes.
It was great.
There's a lot of pressure on the BP pitchers.
How about that? That's the part that is the doesn't get a whole lot of attention. But yeah, these guys are under the gun too.
In the air, deep right center field. Sizemore back to the wall, looks up, home run. Josh Donaldson, with his 22nd home run, has given Toronto a 3-1 lead.
The Rays' success against the Blue Jays can be directly tied to where they were able to control the big 3 of the Blue Jays. They had kept Josh Donaldson in the yard all season long. No more. Opposite field 2-run blast.
That was a majestic shot to the opposite way as Jose Bautista takes the pitch for a ball, 1-0. Donaldson's team-leading 22nd home run, and now he leads the team with 62 RBIs, breaking the tie that he had with Jose Bautista, who takes it outside. It's 2-0. So 4 hits and now 3 runs allowed by Odorizzi, all in the last 2 innings. Big hack, no contact, 2-1.
Bautista thought that was a heater up, and he swung like it was a heater up. Turned out to be really a hanging changeup, but way out in front.
Now it's 3-1. So all 4 of the hits in the last 7 batters. And the Rays will get bullpen action going for the first time tonight. Odorizzi down 3-1 to Bautista. This is fouled away, and the count's full. Alex Colomé starting to loosen. Appeared in a couple of games out of the bullpen prior to the All-Star break as Jake Odorizzi took his spot in the rotation. There's ball 4. That's now 5 walks issued by Odorizzi. Rays Flex Packs come with one of 8 great gifts of your choice, starting at just $59. Rays Flex Packs allow you to choose any 3, 6, or 9 games with no blackout days. Plus, you get half off parking when using the funds loaded to your Rays card. For details, visit RaysBaseball.com or call 888-FAN-RAYS. Another visit from Jim Hickey to Jake Odorizzi, who matches his career high with those 5 walks. Also walked 5 Athletics against Oakland at Tropicana Field May 20th of last year. Again, this is the Blue Jays lineup without a breather. Last game going into the All-Star break, they were down 7-0 in the 6th inning. Took an 8-7 lead, gave that up 10-8, tied it at 10, finally lost that game 11-10. against Kansas City right before the break. There's a swing and a miss, 0-1. Odorizzi has retired Encarnacion twice tonight, fly out to right, and really retired him twice in the same at bat last time. A ground out to third after a drop pop up behind the plate. That's accounted for the Rays' lone error tonight. Big hack, no contact again, 0-2.
The last two swings, you understand now why the cutter away from these big, powerful right-handed hitters came into play in the game plan. Because they see out of the hand something that resembles a fastball, and the hips are opening, the swing is starting to turn and burn on these pitches to left field, and with the cutting action, it's taking it right off the end of the bat. Donaldson stayed behind his and drove his the other way, just like that.
There it is to right center field. This one cut off by Kiermaier, which might save a run. They're going to hold Batista at third as Logan Forsythe runs the ball back in on a double by Encarnacion.
You can credit that to the adjustment made by Encarnacion. Pulled off the first two cutters, and then that pitch away, he stays on it, stays with it, and drives it into right center field. Trying to go right back to it, but this one he doesn't pull off of. A good two-strike adjustment, and he puts the Blue Jays on the verge of expanding this lead.
Blue Jays were 0 for their first 9 in this game against Odorizzi with a few walks mixed in. But now in their next 8 at-bats, they have 5 hits, and now second and third with 1 out. The Rays will bring their infield in with the shift on the right side for Justin Smoak. In the air, deep to left field. DeJesus looking up. This ball's gone. Opposite field, 3-run home run by Justin Smoak. And Toronto has taken a 6-1 lead in this game.
Well, that's the fear. This offense can strike quickly, and they can score in bunches. And they've absolutely turned this game on its head.
That is some big-time power the other way from Smoak. So a tough night for Odorizzi, as he will leave down 6-1 in the bottom half of the 5th inning. Back to tell you about Alex Colomé. A 2-run and a 3-run home run in this inning. Follow the Rays all season long in 2015 with MLB.com @bat The #1 app for live baseball. At Bat is up to the moment at any moment with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, and more. Get MLB.com at Bat for your smartphone or tablet. Jake Odorizzi with the most runs allowed on the season, 6 of them all earned in 4 1/3 innings.
Well, and you can trace that right to the walks. You know, 5 walks by Jake Odorizzi, very uncharacteristic, shows that the command was not there tonight. So command outside the strike zone and lack of command inside the strike zone. Balls out over the plate that Blue Jay hitters were able to take advantage of.
Alex Colomé takes over. You see the 15 games. This will be the 3rd time out of the bullpen with 13 starts in the mix. Colomé had been a part of the Rays rotation, but with players getting healthier, including the return most recently of Jake Odorizzi and Matt Moore, Alex Colomé moves to the bullpen. Russell Martin, the batter, he had a single and a ground out in his time against Odorizzi. Jake had only allowed, coming into tonight, 5 home runs. 3 of those 5 home runs allowed by Odorizzi came at a game in Baltimore. So the rest of his starts, 12 of them, he had only allowed 2 home runs total. And tonight, in this inning, 2 home runs, one by Donaldson and one by Smoke, both to the opposite way.
And that's what will happen when you put yourself consistently over an outing into bad counts. You know, and it started right from the beginning. Back-to-back walks to start the ball game off. He was able to pitch out of that jam, but you know, consistently found himself down in the count, behind in the count. The 5 walks speaks to that, and you give these hitters that advantage, and they can take advantage in a hurry. That's what they've done with 5 quick runs.
Odorizzi for the 3rd consecutive start. The other 2 were kind of injury related, coming back from the rehab and then the injury in Seattle. But for the 3rd consecutive start, fails to go 6 innings. Pop up foul out of play. Odorizzi went 6 innings or more in every start leading up to that stretch, 11 straight. Now turns the ball over after 4 1/3 to Alex Colomé. Swing and a miss. Gets Martin. That's the 2nd out of the inning as Colomé strikes out the first batter he faces.
Yeah, good breaking ball there by Alex Colomé as he starts to expand the zone here. This with the curveball. 79 miles an hour. He's able to get some tilt a little bit away from Martin. He chases it right off the plate.
He's got the regular 4-seamer, the cutter, the curveball, and the changeup as Colomé. Sometimes as a reliever, to shrink the number of pitches, but in his case, because he's more the long guy, I would think he could pretty much keep the arsenal intact.
Yeah, the only thing is that you've got to be sharp with him right out of the gate, because coming out of the bullpen, whether you're the long man or not, you know, you can't afford to come out and try to settle in. You may not have that long. You may go 2 innings, you may go 3 innings. So you got to make sure that you feel good with those pitches, and maybe some nights it's going to be 3 of the 4 will kind of take center stage, depending on what feels great. But yeah, he should absolutely stick with what he's got. He's got a starter's arsenal.
And really, as he delivers to Colabello 0-1 in the air to right to center field, at right center, more specifically where Grady Sizemore will make the play. As Colomé gets through the final 2 outs of the 5th inning after a big 5 spot put up against Odorizzi in 6-1 Toronto.
with Emily Austin.
Todd, if you missed the All-Star game, then you probably didn't see the franchise 4 results. Fans had the chance to vote for the 4 most impactful players in their team's history and who best represents the team's history. Take a look at Tampa Bay's franchise 4. This is GMC's big matchup. Evan Longoria, David Price, James Shields, and Ben Zobrist. Numbers do not lie, Todd and BA. I understand that. These are all great players, deserving, but and Evan Longoria told me before the game that this is such an honor to be included in not only these names, but all the other franchise 4. But there's always debate in these types of things. Is there a guy missing on this list?
I think so. I think as Evan Longoria hits one deep to center field, sending Pilar all the way back, this ball's off the wall. Longoria leads off with a stand-up double for the Rays here in the 6th inning.
Well, that's the start. You want to answer. Obviously, the Toronto Blue Jay uprising, and Evan Longoria comes right out, a hack and a ball out over the plate. Thought this one was going to get out of here. Good carry to center field, but a leadoff double will help. So getting back to the franchise 4, what do you got?
Carl Crawford.
You got Carl Crawford?
I got Carl Crawford.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I've heard this a lot. Hey, you got to throw Carl Crawford in.
Yes.
That's an easy one half of the argument. Hey, he should have been in there. Okay. Well, that means someone has to go because it's a franchise 4,
gotcha,
not a franchise 5. So who do you take out?
There's Mount Rushmore. You can't just add a face. You've got to take somebody out. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, well, but I've heard a lot of just add them, but with no back end to it. There's got to be a back end. It's real easy to say, oh, he should have been there. Well, yeah, but someone then has to go. So,
all right, so here's where I'm going with this. I think Longoria has to be in there.
Yep.
He's going to be the leader in every category by the time he's done here.
Right.
He's faced the franchise for years. I think David Price has to be in there. You win a Cy Young. You're a part of the 2008 team in the bullpen, and then you have all that success with the Rays as the ace beyond that. And then it gets tough. The choice between Shields and Zobrist, who do you leave off? That's where it gets difficult. 1-1 to count Deloney.
Well, I'll pick up from there with you. I think that you got to go Shields.
Yep.
Because
of
the not only the length of success that he had, but he was a bridge. He wore the green.
Correct.
He wore the green from Devil Rays into the Rays. And so I think you got to have him. Same thing with Carl Crawford.
Right.
But, you know, he's on there, then that means guess who leaves?
I love Zobrist.
Yeah.
He did so much in so many different positions for the Rays, but I think if you have to choose somebody, that's who I would choose. And I think Crawford has to be in there just for the simple fact that for no shorter than 5 years, he was the one guy you came to the ballpark wanting to see. He was by far the face of the franchise before this team became the Rays, when they were the Devil Rays. So, anyway, it's a tough call. I can understand Zobrist getting the nod over Crawford, but I think CC deserved a place on the Rays Mount Rushmore. Ground ball right side. That'll move Longoria to third as Smoke makes the play for the first out. There was one defensive change for Toronto to start this inning. New left fielder Chris Colabello comes out of the game, and John Gibbons will put Ezekiel Carrera in left. And more than likely not an injury situation at all. A lot of times they will go to a defensive replacement with a lead. And Colabello did bat as the final batter in that 5th inning. So the Rays with a runner on third and one out. Logan Forsythe the batter. See, Logan has reached base twice, hit by a pitch, and he has walked. There's a base hit right side. The Rays get one of those runs back with Logan Forsythe, 36th RBI of the year. It's now 6-2.
Had a really nice job of Logan Forsythe, you know, seeing that opening on the right side. And so he's going to stay inside this baseball. And again, you go back to the quick hands. Look at him let that ball get into the zone before he slashes it right into right field. That was outstanding work and productive work.
So Longoria with a leadoff double scores the run. That's now 39 runs scored, second on the team behind Steven Souza Jr. And David DeJesus at the plate. David rips one, caught by Travis. The throw, not in time. Not in time for the double up at first base, but a bullet that is caught by the Jays' second baseman.
Well, Devin Travis, he had to get airborne The little stumble at the end, because that ball was hit hard and he was a little bit off balance, is what allowed Logan Forsythe to scramble back to first base. Here it is, right here. Just can't quite get the footing set right away, and just that little hesitation. It really wasn't even hesitation, just getting set to make the throw allowed Logan to allow this inning to continue.
So now Jake Elmore, the batter, takes a strike, 0-1. Even if the Blue Jays wanted to challenge that play, they are out of challenges. We're in the 6th inning, but it looked like Forsythe barely beat that throw. Strike called, 0-2. Hutchison has allowed 5 hits to this point, a couple of runs. He's hit a batter, and he's also walked 2. 3 strikeouts, but none since the 3rd inning. Bounces that one up there. It's 1-2.
And a nice job by Russell Martin to smother that pitch and keep it close enough that Logan cannot advance into scoring position, because right now what the Rays are trying to do is just chip away. A run here, a base runner there, and make a run towards the end of the game. This breaking ball well in front of the plate in the dirt, and a great job by Martin to block it. That patch is gold.
Elmore stays alive. Jake playing tonight at shortstop for the Rays. You will probably see Tim Beckham get a start tomorrow at shortstop for the Rays, as Kevin Cash has said he will play matchups while Asdrubal Cabrera is on the disabled list. Down and away, 2-2. Pitch number 85 about to be delivered by the 24-year-old Hutchison, and it's popped in the air on the infield. Devin Travis all by himself, and that'll do it for the Rays here in the 6th. The Rays do get a run back on a couple of hits. It's now 6-2. The Rays on the board with his 2nd home run as a member of the Rays. It was 1-0. Then after a sacrifice fly, the Jays would take the lead on the Josh Donaldson 2-run home run for Donaldson, his 22nd of the season. And then with the score 3-1, Justin Smoke made it 6-1 as both he and Donaldson went opposite field. Jacob Rizzi allowing 2 home runs, a 2-run shot, a 3-run shot. The Rays would tack on a run last half inning, and that's where we stand, 6-2, heading to the bottom half of the 6th inning. Kevin Pillar takes a called strike, 0-1.
Well, here's the thing you got to keep in mind. No more for the Blue Jay offense. This Blue Jay pitching staff is vulnerable. Bullpen is vulnerable. You're only down 4. You still got 3 more at bats, so you can make a run, but you can't give up anything else.
Swing and a miss, and Colomé ahead 0-2. Well, that will be an interesting thing to watch between tonight and 2 weeks from tonight, which is the trade deadline. A lot of focus will be on Alex Anthopoulos and what happens here in Toronto.
Well, listen, how often do you see Toronto, as active as they are, searching for pitching? And he said, I want a starter and I want a reliever, and preferably we get both of them. Now, the kind of guys that you're talking about getting are going to be difference makers. To get difference makers, you got to give something up, and there are other teams involved. So it will be real interesting to see if he comes up with anything to try to support this prolific offense.
1-2 the count to Pillar. On the ground, tough play, backhanded by Longoria, throw across on the move. Very nicely done.
He makes it look so easy because he's so smooth. That's a tough in-between hop backhand on the move, throw across the diamond. On 2. There it is.
That's what you're absolutely right, though. He makes that look effortless, and that's a base hit for a lot of guys.
It's anything but. It is anything but. You know, it's a tough angle. It's a backhand you're throwing across the body. That, oh, by the way, you've got to field it cleanly first. It's that hop where it's you're not smothering in a short hop, and it's not bouncing up to your chest. It's that in between, that gray area.
Asked Evan before the game about the turf here, because the Rays were in on one of the first series of the season, and all the talk here was how slow the turf is, and it was slow. And the ball gets to the outfield, it's hard to get it to the wall unless you have some juice behind it. Evan said it's playing pretty similarly than in early April, when that was the talk of the league, is how slow the turf was. He said it's pretty similar in terms of speed, but he says it feels more comfortable. Maybe that it's laying a little flatter now than it was early in the season.
Well, you get a good view of it right there versus the shoes. It's, a lot of times on this new turf, especially the turf that looks and feels and plays a lot more like grass than the old artificial turf you were used to, back in the day. You've got to roll that stuff constantly and try to smooth it out, hammer it down. It can feel mushy when it's new, but that's interesting that you're 90 games into the season and it's still that slow.
Counts 1-2 on Travis as he was backed off the plate on a fastball by Alex Colomé on the 0-2 pitch. Out of play. So with Anthopoulos saying we want to go out and get a starter or a reliever, or preferably 2, he's laid it out there. This is a team last year we mentioned going into the All-Star break that was in a very similar position in terms of how many games back they were. They decided not to do anything at the trade deadline. This is a better offense than they had last year. So a lot of people, including those in the clubhouse, really are hoping something gets done to help out this offense with an arm or 2.
Yeah, and if something doesn't get done, I think it runs the risk of affecting this team negatively from the mindset because of nothing done last year. And then this year they're like, look at our offense. You support us a little bit, we can do this. And if it doesn't get done, you may see this team right in the hole.
This time Longoria to his left, gobbles it up, 2 away. Hey, Rays fans, every Friday will be Flashback Rays Day, brought to you by Ram. Submit the best vintage photo of yourself by using the hashtag FlashbackRays. We'll select the best photo and feature it in tonight's postgame show. 32,908 on hand on what has been a very busy couple of weeks worth of sports here in the Toronto, Ontario area. Pitch to Reyes is a called strike, 0-1. The Pan American games are in town. This is the only series during this whole stretch of 17 days that the Blue Jays are at home.
with the Pan Am games in town July 10th through the 26th. They were on the road going into the All-Star break. Line drive caught by James Loney, and that'll do it for Toronto here in the 6th inning. Alex Colomé has retired all 5 batters he has faced coming out of the bullpen, and it's still 6-2. Patrick's Tavern, proudly serving Rays fans for 18 years. By Pixels in theaters July 24th. And by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. It turned out to be a beautiful night here in Toronto as the Blue Jays lead the Rays 6-2 heading into the 7th inning. And there will be a new pitcher on the mound for Toronto. Taking over for Drew Hutchison here in the 7th is the right-hander, Bo Schultz.
Well, on for just the 15th time, and you see the body of work. The opponent's average under 200, the ERA just over 2, as the Blue Jays look to try to patch and piece together the final few innings of this ball game. I tell you, Drew Hutchison actually did a nice job. You know, you talked about his numbers, Todd.
Yep.
In the open, were very, very good at home. Not so good overall as far as everything but win-loss record. But boy, he gave everything the Blue Jays hoped that he would here tonight. Now turns it over to the pen.
And he gets the run support that he's accustomed to.
Oh, that's right. Of course.
6 runs in 6 innings, which extrapolates out to 9 runs of support while he's in the game. And he came in averaging 7.81 runs of support. So there you go. Bo Schultz takes over. Schultz has added a cutter to his repertoire. He had basically been a two-pitch pitcher, 4-seamer and a slider.
And there it was. And he starts out Kevin Kiermaier, that cutter. You know, at 90 miles an hour, you got to make a quick decision, and that little cutting action, especially to the lefties, is going to take that ball right in on their hands.
He hadn't thrown a cutter in the big leagues until late June. He's been back and forth a few times with AAA Buffalo. And then this last time around has added that pitch, and he's had a lot of success recently.
That's such an easy pitch to add, and it's a pitch that you can add really mid-season. You know, right when you're in the swing of things, you don't need that much time to work on it. You know, if you can pick things up rather quickly. And how about that at bat? Cutter in, foul ball, strike 1. Hard sinker away, foul ball left field line, strike 2. Then climb the ladder, punch out. That was clinic-like.
Right where Russell Martin asked for it for the first out of the 7th inning. So here's Rene Rivera. Rivera struck out and fouled out against the starter Drew Hutchison. This one right back to the pitcher. Bo Schultz with the underhand toss. Strikeout and a comebacker, and there's 2 away. In tonight's game and all season long, Tires Plus will donate $100 to the Pediatric Cancer Foundation for every Tampa Bay Rays home run during televised Sun Sports contests. 2 outs, nobody on. one almost hits Jaso. Skips out of the way, 1-0. A 5-run bottom half of the 5th inning is the difference in this game. Toronto with home runs from their corner infielders. Donaldson a 2-run home run and Smoke a 3-run home run to chase Jake Odorizzi and give Toronto what was a 6-1 lead. It's now 6-2 away, and it's 2-0. There's Steve Geltz, family in town here in Toronto, Buffalo native, warming up in the Rays bullpen. If that is it for Colomé, that was an impressive 3rd outing out of the bullpen after he struggled in his first 2 out of the pen.
Well, sometimes it takes an outing or 2 to get acclimated. You're on a different routine. The bullpen is a different animal on how you prepare to come into a game, and so some guys pick it up quicker than others. But you're right, he looked strong tonight and commanded the ball where he wanted it to go.
Oh, you asked me earlier about the dreadlocks.
Yes.
Jaso.
Yes.
As long as he continues to hit, and he's 409, 500 on base percentage, 636 slugging percentage.
He's going to keep it.
Yeah. At some point he'll go into a little struggle, and at that point you might see him save it completely. But until then, the Dreads stay. But that was an impressive inning for Bo Schultz. 1, 2, 3 go the Rays. 7th inning stretch time, 6-2 Jays. Here's what's coming up on tomorrow's Rays Live pregame show presented by your Gulf Coast Honda dealers. We will hear from Erasmo Ramirez, the always jovial right-handed starter for the Rays. We'll talk with Rich Hollenberg as he gets ready for his first start post-All-Star break. And Orestes Estrada will break down Jose Bautista. All that tomorrow on our Rays Live pregame show beginning at 12:30. Steve Geltz, the new pitcher for the Rays, taking over for Alex Colomé, who retired all 5 batters he faced.
Well, he's been a busy man. 41 appearances so far, including the 2 starts. ERA 3.40, more than a strikeout an inning. The opponent's average holding steady and strong at 172.
First man he will face is the always dangerous Josh Donaldson, who takes a pitch up high for a ball, 1-0. Donaldson broke the tie with a 2-run home run his last time up into right center field, his 22nd home run of the year. Same spot, ball hit well to right center field. Kiermaier leaps and he makes the incredible catch against the wall. Kevin Kiermaier robbing Donaldson of extra bases for the first out in the bottom half of the 7th inning.
Yeah, if you're going to avoid and evade Kevin Kiermaier, it better clear the fence. Because if it's in the park, it's always catchable by the Rays center fielder. This ball well struck out into right center, but Kevin Kiermaier covers ground and then shows a little athleticism with the leap. Nice catch.
A foot away from back-to-back home runs for Josh Donaldson. Instead, it goes as a long out and a highlight reel defensive play for Kiermaier. Here's Jose Bautista. Pitch on the outside corner, and Geltz ahead of Bautista, 0-2. Bautista walked and scored a run his last time at the plate. 0 for 2 against Odorizzi. In the air right field, easy play for Sizemore. 2 away. Take another look at that play by the Rays center fielder.
You know, sometimes we see Kiermaier with a little leap, the athleticism, just he has to, for no reason, just, you know, because I'm there and I can do it. He needed to there, and he timed it perfectly and made a heck of a play.
That was our high-def highlight presented by H.H. Gregg. Ball into the stands, ripped foul by Encarnacion. Edwin doubled his last time up. 1 for 3 on the evening. That walk to Bautista that came around to score was 1 of 5 issued by Odorizzi, but the only one of those 5 that came around to score. He walked 4 in the first 3 innings and did not allow any of those walks to hurt him, but eventually things caught up to him in the 5th inning with a 5 spot by the Blue Jays. Big swing, no contact, 1-2.
And sometimes the walk will come back to hurt you directly, you know, i.e. coming around to score. Other times the walks are just indicative of a bigger problem, and that's can't get the ball where I want it. And eventually that will lead to runs one way or the other.
Upstairs from Geltz, 2-2. Geltz used to take the train into town from Buffalo, watch the Blue Jays games as a kid. Said he remembers in particular always asking his parents to come to the Rogers Center when Roger Clemens was pitching. Now he gets to pitch on that same mound. The count's 3-2.
Funny how that comes full circle, you know, for guys. They grow up going to the ballpark, big league ballpark, dreaming of maybe someday getting a chance to play in the big leagues and then get to play on that particular field. What a thrill.
Just misses on that 3-2 pitch, and he walks Edwin Encarnacion. After getting a long, loud out off the bat of Josh Donaldson and Bautista to fly out to right, he walks Encarnacion, and now Geltz will deal with Justin Smoak. Smoak with that big 3-run home run that turned a 3-1 game into a 6-1 game. His last time up. Called strike, 0-1. Smoak had his at-bats limited a bit in the first half of the season due to the Jose Bautista injury. When Bautista was forced to DH due to the shoulder problem, it forced Edwin Encarnacion onto the field, and Encarnacion could play first base, and that took some time away from Smoak. But now Bautista able to go out to the outfield, and you've got all 3 in the lineup. And what a middle of that order: Bautista, Encarnacion, and Smoak.
And it just keeps going. You go up above that, you got Donaldson. Below that, you got Martin and Colabello.
High pop-up. Rivera makes this play for the final out of the 7th inning. We head to the 8th. It's Toronto 6, Tampa Bay 2. big home runs, both to the opposite field. Josh Donaldson to right center, Justin Smoak to left field. A 2-run and a 3-run shot have Toronto on top in this game 6-2. Brady Sizemore will lead things off for the Rays here in the 8th inning. Follow your arrow to Tropicana Field Saturday, July 25th to watch the Rays take on the Baltimore Orioles, and stick around after the game for a post-game concert with country star Casey Musgrave. She'll be performing hits such as Follow Your Arrow and Biscuits. Call 888-FAN-RAYS or visit RaysBaseball.com. Sizemore accounted for the Rays' first run of the game with a home run against Hutchison. Starting pitcher Drew Hutchison lasted 6 innings, allowed 2 runs on 5 hits, walked a couple, and struck out 3. Bo Schultz on for his 2nd inning of work, which is pretty common with John Gibbons at the helm. 7 of Schultz's 14 appearances have been 2 innings or more.
Yeah, and why wouldn't you run him back out there? The way that he threw the ball in the top of the 7th inning, very efficient, attack mode, good stuff.
Got a pretty live fastball. There is a check swing, but he went around. It counts 2-2.
Well, that was almost a predetermined swing there by Grady Sizemore. You know, he's ahead in the count. He wants a fastball. He knows he's got to get it started quick. He just can't hold up.
2-1 is the count. 2-2 now. There you see. Is that the cutter at 93?
Hey, who knows? That had late action. It looked like a cutter. It had the velocity of the sinker. It was filthy.
If we can't tell,
right,
watching the game on video, what chance does the hitter have?
None.
2-2, the count to Sizemore.
That was a cutter. So then we can say the pitch previous was the cutter. 93, and you see that cutting action in on a lefty. You see that pitch out over the plate, you start your swing, and all of a sudden it's on the handle.
Rays kicking off this proverbial second half of the season with a record of 46-45, a game over, starting the night 3.5 games behind the New York Yankees. We are past the halfway point, though, with the Rays having played 91 games, 71 to go. Foul tip caught by Martin. That's a strikeout for Schultz. He has struck out 3 of the 4 batters he has faced.
This stuff has been filthy. And there was another cutter. Watch this cutting action. Yeah, almost borderline slider with that little bit of depth it gets. It's right on the cusp. Regardless, it is hard and it is nasty.
Here's Evan Longoria. He doubled against Hutchison his last time up. 1 for 3 on the night. Yankees are leading their game tonight 4-3 as they play in the 8th inning against Seattle at Yankee Stadium. One and 2. The AL East is close. Yeah, it's as close as it's been at the All-Star break in over 40 years, 41 years.
Yeah, well, the Rays, didn't they go into the weekend? Last weekend they were in 4th place.
Yep.
They sweep the Astros, they're in 2nd.
Yep.
I mean, that's how quickly it can happen. And so that's why you've got to continue to bring it every single day, and why the Rays, I think, are so excited to get this part of the season started, because you know you can make big moves in a series, especially when you're playing each other.
All 3 of those teams chasing the Yankees within 3 games of each other.
Yeah, and this is where you start, too, to look at the loss column. Those are the games you can't make up, and so the Rays are 3.5 back, but really you count that as 5 because it's 5 in the loss column.
Reyes backhand, nice play to get Longoria. Well, all the projections you see have the Yankees as the obvious favorite just based on where they are, but every other projection has the Red Sox, everybody bunched up. But most projections, whether it's Fangraphs or whatever you look at, say that Toronto has, percentage-wise, based on what their numbers are, the best chance to be the wild card team or the team that dethrones the Yankees out of the AL East.
Well, yeah, and
I know we're 71 games away.
Well, but who can put together the streak, the run? You know, the Blue Jays before this latest slide had won 11 in a row. That's where they made their move. They seem to be kind of drifting out of it down there, and all of a sudden 11 straight wins, they put themselves right back in it. Who can do that here with about 70, 73 games to go for everybody in that range? If you can put together one of those types of streaks, that's going to be the separator. Can anybody do that? I don't know.
It will be interesting to watch, and the Rays are hoping they're the team that gets on that streak in the second half. 2-0 to Loney.
I know the one thing that you can't do is go lose 12 out of 13 again.
Right.
Yeah, that cannot happen again.
Yeah. That was a really tough stretch. That was a team that had a lot of players playing a lot more games than they were used to, that kind of hit a little wall there prior to the All-Star break. But fortunately for Tampa Bay, they got it back right before the break with that 3-game sweep of Houston. Walk to James Loney here with 2 outs. First base runner allowed by Bo Schultz, and that'll bring up Logan Forsythe. Speaking of guys who played a lot of games in the first half, Forsythe is close to his career high in at-bats. He's only 3 away right now. He's already at his career high in games started. Home runs, RBIs, you name it. This guy having that season for the Rays.
And that on-base percentage jumps out at you. 362. Getting on base. Saw him, he drives that run in on a ball that he just lets get into the zone, and he just, the swing told you, this is what I'm trying to do. I see the ball, I recognize I'm going to let it travel into the zone, boom, I'm going to pop it to the right side, it's open, it's a run. Smart baseball player.
And of all the problems the Rays have had, Forsythe has been in there pretty much every day. A little scary moment first plate appearance when he was hit on the hand with a pitch. And even as recently as his last base hit, when he was on base, he's still looking at the top of that hand, on the left hand. So it's probably something that he is a little uncomfortable with, but here he is on base all 3 times tonight.
Yeah, the good thing is if he can handle the bat, that's his glove hand. And so you get that thing in the glove, and it's on the outside of the hand, so it's not going to feel real good. But at this time of year, there's a lot of things you deal with don't feel real good.
Counts 1 and 2 on Forsythe. That was that slider from Schultz. He has shown that nasty cutter tonight at 93. That is a tough pitch that he has added to the arsenal. Swing and a miss. 91 mile an hour as Logan Forsythe goes down for the final out of the inning. 4 strikeouts for Schultz. 2 innings. Don't forget tomorrow, game 2 of this 3-game series. Erasmo Ramirez will be on the mound for the Rays. Look at the numbers the last 11 starts. 8-2 with a 2.10 ERA. We'll be on the air at 12:30 with our Rays Live pregame show. First pitch 107. Those numbers as good as anybody in that span of baseball.
In the game. I mean, really, what more could you ask for from Erasmo Ramirez? And you wonder with him, did the aggressiveness breed confidence, or was it confidence that bred the aggressiveness? I think the aggressiveness is what led to the success, and obviously he's throwing the ball feeling pretty good about himself right now.
Brandon Gomes, fourth pitcher of the night for the Rays, fires a fastball up and away to Russell Martin to start the bottom half of the 8th inning. Gomes takes over for Steve Geltz. Geltz and Alex Colomé have combined to go 2 2/3 innings, not allowing a hit out of the bullpen, and just the one walk by Geltz. Here's the foul away. It's 1-1. So Martin was signed in the offseason to a 5-year deal by the Blue Jays. Montreal native, happy to be back playing in Canada, and he has been a big difference maker for this team this year. Look at Batista's numbers, and the RBIs are there, and Encarnacion's numbers, the RBIs are there. But here is Martin, and Martin sends one deep to center field, but it's not deep enough as Kiermaier gets there for the first out here in the 8th.
And on top of that, the way he handles the pitching staff, trying to nurse them along. Now, this is a pitching staff that really has underperformed. It hasn't. It's been the low light of this team, but he is able. We see here tonight with Hutchison, borderline pitches. The way that he works the glove has gotten a number of calls for his pitchers here tonight.
Here's Ezequiel Carrera getting his first at bat. Came on for Chris Colabello defensively in the 6th inning. Carrera sends one to left field. That sends DeJesus back to the track. DeJesus right up against the wall, makes the play, and flips it to Kevin Kiermaier with a smile. Second out of the inning.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter who the Blue Jays roll in there. They swing the bat like they mean it.
Blue Jays have 2 pitchers warming in a 6-2 game. They have their closer, Roberto Osuna, throwing, and they also have Aaron Loup, the lefty. Pilar, shallow center. Now it's about medium center as Kiermaier makes the play. So 3 fly ball outs induced by Brandon Gomes in a 1-2-3 inning. To the 9th we go, 6-2 Toronto.
Toronto in game 1 of this 3-game series. Rich Hollenberg here high above home plate alongside my broadcast partner Orestes Destrada. Coming up at the end of this game, we'll have Rays Live, the postgame, brought to you by Checkers. Emily Austin will be in the clubhouse. She will have the Kevin Cash postgame press conference along with assorted interviews from other players. And guys, You know Orestes as well as I do. It's amazing. The guy can talk a blue streak when the camera light's on. When it goes off, he is straight work. I don't hear from this guy until the game is over. He is buried in work right now, guys.
Got to be prepared, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what you do.
They took the camera shot. Was writing notes down, didn't even address the camera. He's focused.
Listen, he's got a potential show coming up in a few minutes.
Roberto Osuna is the new pitcher for the Jays, 39th game of the year. Guy throws hard here out of the Jays bullpen.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. You can see the strikeout to walk ratio on top of the strikeouts to innings pitched, and that opponent's average pretty good at 189. And this Blue Jay pitching staff overall, not at the top of the heap, but the bullpen, their bullpen ERA is 7th in the American League, so not too bad. Searching for a little bit more consistency and one more difference maker, but certainly they have not been at the bottom. You see the starters ERA for the Blue Jay staff way down at the bottom, and that's what's put them in a hole.
Non-save situation for Osuna, who has 4 and has become the closer more recently for Toronto. Brett Cecil was in that role for a little while. As DeJesus fouls one back. It's 1-1. Tampa Bay trailing 6-2. Last chance here in the 9th inning in Toronto. DeJesus, Jake Elmore, and Kevin Kiermaier due up for Tampa Bay.
Well, you got a couple things at play too. A non-save situation, typically you wouldn't go to your closer unless he hasn't had work in a few days. He hasn't had work in a few days, and on top of that, shows you how important this game is. Toronto wins, they're tied with the Rays.
The win here would push Toronto to 46-46, the same mark if the Rays lose. 2-1 the count to DeJesus. DeJesus with a walk, grounded into a double play, and then lined out his last time up. In the air, shallow center. Reyes is there. First out here in the 9th. It's nice now with the All-Star break being 4 days. It used to be 3 days, and now you get that extra day. And I don't know about you, and I know you traveled with the family, but in the past, I used to travel every once in a while during the break, and you come back and you were completely worn out. Nice to be home and relaxed and have a little time off. Orestes Estrada, getting ready for the postgame show, went to Japan and back during the All-Star break. Japan. Didn't run down to Sarasota, Bradenton, or Orlando. Maybe a little run up to Gainesville. Here's a fly ball on the right. And I know Orestes did have the 3-game series off leading into the break. Doug Wechter did a great job filling in for him in that Houston series. So he had a little more extended. It wasn't a 4-day break, but still, in a 1-week span of time, Japan, boom, back, doing the pre and post game.
Yeah, well, listen, he needed a head start. You're not pulling that off in 4 days.
That's
a
impressive.
long flight.
Oh, that's impressive.
There you go.
I'll tell you one, and I also was part of a sumo tournament. I finished 3rd.
That's why we're sitting here, so you can't see the stomach.
Yeah. You know what? That explains some of the pregame meals we saw him putting away there towards the end.
It's a lot of rice. You
gotta make weight.
You gotta make weight there, and totally. It was a great trip, though, guys.
All right, we will hear more about that tomorrow, I'm being told. Orestes and Rich getting ready for the postgame show. The Rays trying to mount a rally here with 2 outs, and it's 1-1 on Kevin Kiermaier.
Boy, firm, explosive fastball there, 97 from Osuna, and you understand why he's got that opportunity now to close games for the Jays.
Fouled back, and now the crowd of 33,000 at a 98-mile-an-hour fastball will stand with 2 strikes.
Very little time to react.
And that's the ball game. Osuna strikes out Kiermaier to end it. And the Toronto Blue Jays win the first game coming out of the All-Star break 6-2. They are at even 500 at 46 apiece. So are the Rays at 46 wins and 46 losses. Took 2 hours and 35 minutes in front of 32,908. And a 5-run bottom half of the 5th inning was the difference. 2-run home run by Donaldson, 3-run home run by Smoke, as the Blue Jays win this game 6-2. Coming up next, stay tuned for the Rays Live post-game show as the Blue Jays win it here. A couple of afternoon games to follow. More on that when we come back. A 107 start tomorrow, but Jake Odorizzi, in his second start back from injury, gives up 2 home runs and takes the loss. And the win goes to Drew Hutchison, the former Lakeland High School star for the Toronto Blue Jays.